What is up? Welcome back to another live stream. This is the fourth day of doing a daily live stream. Today I'm going to be doing some site and app critiques for you. So this might be a little bit different than the previous three live streams that I did because it's going to be more kind of live, organic, just watching me just browse a bunch of websites and some apps and just getting some of my live reaction and live feedback on some of them. So a couple of the websites I do know about, but then I'll start going through some inspiration site websites and just picking some random ones and just taking you through what I'm thinking about as I'm looking at some of them from a product design perspective. And there's a couple apps too that I'm going to bring up on my phone that some of them are popular that I have not used yet. I've actually gone in and picked a few apps out, and I've already created some accounts on them, but that's pretty much all I did in those apps. Aside from that, it's going to be kind of my first time like really getting to use some of these apps, so I'll be giving some of my feedback on the usability of the apps based on my live experience trying it for the first time. So that's kind of what I plan on doing on this live stream. It's going to be less structural. I will have a couple slides just to show you the things that I will be thinking about as I'm looking at some of these websites. But yeah, that's kind of what I'll be doing in today's live stream. Like I said, this is good. This is the fourth consecutive daily live stream that I have going on this week. I'm going to have 3 more live streams coming up. The topics for the upcoming 3 live streams can be found on my website, asrequired.com. They are some very interesting topics. I think tomorrow is a very interesting one. It's a question that I get a lot, especially when I talk at conferences, is basically designers asking how they could get a job as a designer, especially if they don't have prior experience. I won't really be talking specifically about people who don't have prior experience, but I've recently gone through the process of hiring, and at previous companies I have hired designers. So I'm just going to walk you through tomorrow that process. I think that'll be a really interesting one. A couple other interesting topics, but like I said, you go to asrequired.com to see the next 3 days that I have planned, what the topics are for each one of those. Just a couple things before I jump into this. I do have a Patreon, so if at any point you find this content interesting and you'd like to see more of it, or you'd like me to do more of these live streams on specific topics, please consider supporting me on Patreon. The link is below, patreon.com/James Cabrera. After these 7 days are done, if I do decide to keep doing this, I'll definitely take some suggestions from anybody who's a patron and prioritize maybe doing some videos on topics that any patron wants to see. But aside from that, we could jump right into this. Another quick thing is, if you do like what you see here, please consider hitting the like button and the subscribe button. Subscribing will definitely let you know when I do put up the link for the next live streams, when that will be up and at what times I will be going live. So tomorrow's going to be at 8 o'clock, but yeah, if you just subscribe, you'll just see that pop up in your feed if you do check YouTube quite often. So yeah, let's just jump right into it. Some site and app live critiques. Let's judge some designs today. Just to give you a little bit of background, well, this is basically my one golden rule for critiquing things, is that don't criticize unless you're willing to offer up another possible solution. So you'll see that if I do criticize some of these apps, I will try and make some suggestions on how maybe they could do it better, or the thing that I'm critiquing them about, offering a suggestion of how they could accommodate my specific feedback. That's just my one golden rule, even in life. Like, if you're going to criticize somebody, don't do it without, putting yourself in their shoes and trying to offer up a possible way to accommodate whatever it is that you're criticizing them for. A little bit of intro about me. My name is James Cabrera. I'm the founder of As Required. As Required is just the name of my design studio, and then also kind of all the things I output from my design studio. So these videos are included in that. I am also currently the head of design at a company called The Block. So The Block is a research and news site that is focused specifically on cryptocurrencies. And previously, before that, I was the design director at Gimlet Media. So I was responsible for the logo update and the branding update. I kind of led that charge, found the agency to work with on that, which is Grand Army, and I was the design director there up until the point that they got acquired by Spotify. I was design director at Gimlet up until the point that they got acquired by Spotify. Before that, I was a senior product designer at Refinery 29, so I really was designing a lot of apps there, and I was doing a lot of designs for the website, created a whole design system, card system for them when I was over there, and also working with their graphic designers to make better looking articles. Even before that, I graduated at SUNY Stony Brook with a degree in math and physics, so I did not get a degree in design at all. I am completely self-taught, and this is also one of the main reasons why I'm doing all these videos, is because the way I learned was through a lot of free resources on the internet. I did buy a couple of books, but the majority of stuff that I learned was basically learning through a lot of things that I found on the internet, mostly for free. So I kind of want to pay it forward, and if there's anything that I could teach anybody out there who's just learning how to do some of this stuff, or just learning design and trying to figure out what they should be paying attention to, I would love to kind of pay it forward and help, the next generation of designers, possibly self-taught designers, if you're trying to do this without having to spend a lot of money on education. I hope some of these videos would be helpful for you. So, before I jump into critiquing some apps, these are just some things that I'll be thinking about as I go through them. And first off, I like to have empathy for, the people the designers, or, even the engineers who have designed these things and put them out there. I'm mindful of, the decisions that go through these, and, sometimes you have to answer to some people who might not be making the best decisions. So I like to be mindful of the situation that they're in when they design these things before I start critiquing them. So these are some empathy type of things that I think about, and the things that I'll be thinking about with every app and site that I look through here. So just thinking about what are the core KPIs of whatever site or app, like what did they base their decisions on when they designed the app? What were their KPIs? What were they focusing on really optimizing or improving for? And this will apply to anything, even if I get to a portfolio website. Obviously, like, maybe they're not measuring it, but a KPI would just be attracting recruiters to click onto their work and eventually pick them as a potential candidate for a job. Like, that could be considered a KPI, is just getting someone to click, and the call to action is getting them to either email them, or if they had submitted their link through some sort of job portal, like getting a recruiter to contact them. What resources or capital would the designers have had access to? So, some designs, like the most amazing designs, probably cost a lot of money in terms of, they probably had a big engineering team to work with. Maybe it was not just one designer, but there was a team of designers, and they did have someone who whose sole job was to focus on a single button. I like to be empathetic to that. If a website clearly was made by a one design person team, of course, it's tough to criticize them on things that they just probably physically didn't have enough time, or weren't given enough time to think about, or spend the time to make whatever piece of the design much better. So I know that I'm kind of in that boat as well. Like, I am the sole designer at the block. When I started working at Gimlet, I was a sole designer there, and I know when you're pressured to hit deadlines, there's only so much you do as a single person, and it's kind of tough to hear feedback, especially when it is feedback that you knew that it could have been better, but you just physically didn't have the time to do it because you were a one-person design team, or you didn't have money or resources to work with, a better engineering team, or work with world-class, agencies and things like that. Just being mindful of that. So when I criticize stuff, I will stop myself. I'm like, oh yeah, there's nothing they could have done there, or I could have seen how they got into a time crunch there. That's why it's this way. And lastly, thinking about who they're trying to appeal to, I realize that some of the apps that I'm going to be experimenting for, I am not the core audience for it, so I might have different opinions about it compared to who the core audience is of that app. I will say right now, one of the apps that I am going to be looking at is TikTok. I do not have I just created an account this afternoon, and I know that I am probably not the core audience for that. So there's going to be some reactions to some of the designs that I'm already like going into it knowing that I'm going to be confused by some stuff, but understanding that maybe the core audience is not me, and maybe the core audience will understand a lot of the stuff that I probably won't immediately understand. So just thinking about whatever these sites are, like who they're trying to appeal to, and maybe my reactions to things might not be what the core audience's reactions will be to that specific site or that app. Next is just thinking about some criteria I'll be thinking about as I critique. So this is just like trying to make it less subjective and a little bit more objective about what is, maybe not working or what is working for specific sites. I don't like judging things based on subjective, like that's not my taste, so I don't like this. I like to draw upon specific core criteria. So the first thing I'm going to be thinking about is does the design satisfy a job? So if I'm looking at an e-commerce, like a shop, a retailer's website, is it getting people to look at products and eventually purchase products? What is the job that it's trying to do? If it's like, for example, like I'm going to look through TikTok, is it satisfying the job of getting people to share content? So I'm going to be thinking about that. If it's like, if I identify a job and I feel like it's hard to complete that job or complete that task, then I think that's a point of criticism. That's a point where I could be judgmental of a specific design. Next thing is the main purpose clear? Are there distractions or noise? So what I mean by this is thinking about what I'm trying to accomplish with this app when I get into it. Am I able to reach that goal very quickly? Is there a direct path to that, or is there a lot of things in the way that's distracting me from that main goal? I think that would be a point of criticism if I think that there's a specific goal for an app and I just can't complete that thing and there's like a lot of stuff in the way. I think there's a point to be made there that maybe this thing can be improved. And last thing, I think this is almost like one of the most important things when I look at apps or sites, or this is a common thread between apps that I commonly use. Literally, the definition of commonly using something is using it repeatedly. So if this is my first experience using this app, after that initial experience, do I feel like I'm going to continue using it, or am I going to open it up again, or do I see a continued need to constantly use it? Or like, is it useful to me? Does it add value to my life, or do I think it will add value based off of my initial impression of it? We'll be thinking about that. Some other opinions and stuff I'm sure will crop up along the way as I jump into it. But enough of the intro, enough of just talking about what I'm going to think about. Let's just jump into some design. So I'm going to first start off with some websites. So I already have a couple, like this just came up a couple, like 10 minutes ago, like a couple sites that I did want to just look at. Some of them I've been on already, but not too long. The first one, let's just jump right into my web browser. The first one here is this website Inverse. So it's called Inverse Magazine. It's a media site that is owned by Bustle, the media group. This is a new site from he's a popular editor called Joshua Topolsky, who used to be on Engadget, and then he created The Outline, which is also a company that was bought by Bustle Media Group. And there's a pair of sites here because I think they're the same exact design that just recently launched a redesign. And I did have opinions about it, and I just wanted to scroll through. I only really saw the homepage. I didn't really go through it, so I'm going to do a live demo of it. So the first one is Inverse, and then the second website is Input. So you'll see that they're literally the same site. I guess they operate off of the same engine. So I'll essentially be criticizing both of these with one go. But they're basically a news site. I was trying to figure this out, but I wanted to save it for the live stream. I was trying to figure out what is the common, is this a tech website? Is this a pop culture website? So I was trying to figure that out before, but I didn't really, I navigated off of it because I wanted to do this on the live stream, but it looks like they have a bunch of different types of content. It looks like there's some video game stuff. There is space. What's the common thread between, so the main thing that comes to mind here is that I don't really know who this website is for. Let's just look at the categories that they have here. Science, innovation, entertainment, mind and body. It just looks like, I'm going to use the word, but millennial content. I mean, I am a millennial, but like, what is the common thread here? Of course, they're writing some articles about COVID, some food stuff. But yeah, so that's my main thing. Like when I first land on the page, I don't have a clear idea of like who this site is for. Is it for me? And just scrolling through, I know I did a previous session on choosing fonts. It looks like there's a lot going on here in terms of fonts. There's a bunch of different fonts, as at least it looks like. Actually, now that I'm looking at it, it looks like there's like 3 different typefaces, but it looks like there isn't that much hierarchy. Everything feels equal, or everything just looks like it's screaming at me. So I think that's one piece of criticism that I will have about this website, is that it feels like every piece of content is just screaming at me to like scream louder than the next one. Doesn't feel like there's a sense of control in terms of visual hierarchy here. It just feels like everything is just click this, click this, click this. So I feel like there could be some improvement there on this website. Yeah, as far as fonts, it feels like the fonts are, they're using 2 typefaces, but they're kind of equally weighted. Let's click and let's see what an article page looks like. So this is just a home page. When you think about a home page, especially for a media website, I have a lot of experience in this because I've been working for a lot of media companies, but the point of a home page is to get you into a piece of content. So you're basically showing a lot of articles in a small view, trying to pack a lot of articles in a small piece of real estate, just hoping that something out there will entice the viewer to click on something. And normally the first thing that a person will click at is what they find the most visually appealing. I mean, looking at this design, they put a lot of weight in the graphics, and the graphics really draw your eye to the articles versus the headlines. So with a design like this, I'm most likely to click on an article based on an image versus the headline. So, I mean, I think this illustration is pretty interesting, so I'm going to click on that. So apparently this is about cheating and pregnancy. I'm not going to talk about the contents of the article, but I just want to critique this as an article page. So the point of an article page is to get you into the content, get you into reading the content. It looks like, you know, the sole singular focus here is the content. That's what I do like about it. If you go to some other media websites, I know a bad example of this is probably like CNN. This is what I talk about when I'm like talking about like the noise and distractions. But if we were to just jump into an article page on CNN, they tend to throw a lot of other things on the page aside from just the article. So of course there's going to be ads, you got to make money. But one thing that I get, like sometimes they throw a lot of recommendations, and this is the worst, especially when you get these like Outbrain and Taboola things, because they put these nasty pictures, because of course people are going to be clicking on those things. There's just so many distractions from the reason you're here is to read the article, right? So that's one thing that I will say I like about this, is that like the sole focus in this singular is the article. That's what you came here to read. When it comes to thinking about KPIs, the reason media websites add all of these recommendations is because a common KPI of media sites is to get a single user to read multiple pieces of content. So you're going to see a lot of media sites just throw a bunch of recommendations in, hoping you're going to at least click on another article after this article. So I'm empathetic of that KPI of a media site. And then also, you know, you got to make money. That's a KPI too. So of course, you know, there's always going to be distractions from what you came here on the article page for on a site like CNN. But it's kind of admirable that they would Inverse would just, you know, focus on the article, and every now and then I think there's only one or two advertisements that come in. Let's count them. So there's 1, there's 2, and there's 3, and they're pretty small ads. They're not that intrusive, so good on them that they're doing that. and then you get the recommendations in the proper place when you're done reading the article. Um, Another little bit of insight as to why a site would throw you a bunch of recommendations like early on in the process is because if coming from someone who has looked at data from media sites, there is a high bounce rate. So a lot of people, don't make it to the end of your article. So you're missing an opportunity by leaving all the recommendations at the end of the article because the data shows that a lot of people don't even make it to the end of the article. Maybe they get bored and maybe you do need to serve them another thing to try and keep them on your webpage. So just being mindful of that stuff. So that's just a little bit of insight on media websites. So assuming that input uses the same exact system here, just using different fonts and using different imagery. That's weird. They're like, so I might be throwing a little bit of subjectivity into this, but I get kind of annoyed when media websites like have this off-centered content. Well, it's just like, whoa, like why is it just shifted over to the right a little bit? I know a couple sites do this. Maybe that's just personal preference, but it's like I feel like my neck is turning to the right side a little bit, and it just feels, it's just physically uncomfortable or unsettling. I don't know. Maybe that is subjective, but I don't like when media websites do this like little off-centered content. They have a little bit bigger advertisements in their articles versus the article that I clicked on in Inverse, and then they have the recommendations at the end. This is also weird that in terms of like reading a second piece of content, some websites do this where you just all of a sudden end up in another article when you're scrolling. Is there any connection from, all right, this is on coronavirus, of course. I guess this initial article that I clicked in that I did, like assuming that I did want to read this article, is about working from home and that Facebook and specifically working from home. So I guess the connection is coronavirus and Facebook. So I guess there's a connection there. But it's weird sometimes when I'm like reading an article and I just happen to scroll past it and there's like another entire article dumped in like right after it. Like, did I really want to read that article, or did I want a more condensed view of like a smattering of a collection of articles so I could like consciously choose what I want to read next? Just another interesting thing. Another website I just wanted to that's my feedback for those two websites. I think they're pretty cool. Actually, let me go back to just talking about these websites. One thing I do like about these is that they make a very strong like branding statement when you land on it. Like when you go to other media websites, they generally more or less look the same, but they've got Inverse and both input. You could tell the graphic styles just hit you in the face. You're like, oh, this is like something I haven't seen before. Even though actually a lot of the images are like stock photos. But they add like some sort of color treatment on top of them so they don't look like just straight downloaded off a stock website. So I like when websites do these like quick little things to just like have a very definitive look and feel that like when you land on it you're like, oh yeah, this is Inverse, yeah, this is input, versus like it's not just stock photos and it just looks like another media website. Like when you're landing on a CNN versus like an MSNBC, like all of them kind of look the same because they don't really infuse some sort of distinct or unique style in the imagery or the site flourishes that are in there. Okay, so that's kind of just my feedback on these two websites. The other website that I wanted to just kind of live critique was the new iPad Pro website. So more or less a lot of the Apple websites look more or less the same. They kind of follow the same pattern. So I might already, I've already gone into it. This is not the first time I'm like looking at this because I feel like I've seen the same exact design across multiple Apple products. But the thing I do like when you first land on this, so this is the site for the iPad Pro. The main focus, the main thing that they want you to do is buy the iPad Pro. So the best way to do that is to literally just put the product up front and center. So of course the best thing you could do when you first land on this page is just put the iPad right there, just big and colorful and in your face. So Always good. And when I talk about like not having distractions or noise, there's definitely no distractions or noise when you land on this. You get the iPad immediately. Get some different views, some cool animations. All their products always start off with some sort of like perspective, single shot type of scrolling animation, which kind of, gets you to fall in love with that product and eventually make you buy it. So let's read this first piece of text. So this is always cool. Like whenever I come in, there's a first visual, the iPad. What is the text that they lead off with? So the big colorful font says your next computer is not a computer. I think that's a bold statement and something you do want to lead off with, because I guess the messaging here is that the iPad is a replacement for a computer. It's a magical, so people make fun of Apple for using like superfluous language. It's a magical piece of glass. It's so fast, most PC laptops can't catch up. So they're emphasizing it's glass, it's fast, cameras. You could use it with touch, pencil, keyboard. So now they're talking about accessories. So I guess they just want to emphasize that it's magical, fast, cameras. Okay, so they go really colorful with this next statement that says try to find a more advanced mobile display. So this is kind of Apple. Apple has been just touting displays, so with their super expensive monitors, like how amazing the colors and the contrast is. So they want to lead off. So something else you want to think about, especially like user experience, is the journey that a person goes through. So that's literally what I'm doing right now. I'm like kind of taking the journey with them, like seeing what is the sequential order of like what they're forcing me to experience in this website. So that's kind of what I'm taking you through right now, and that's kind of how I'm looking at this website, is the journey that I'm going through as I'm scrolling down. Now they're getting into the bullet points of the features. All right, now they show off the different sizes. I like how they do that visually and not through text. It took me late to see the little 11-inch and 12.9-inch there, showing off that they have different sizes. Now, I think this is like if you've read the specs of the new iPad, the core difference of this iPad versus previous iPads is the fact that they like put the new crazy 3-camera thing that's from the new iPhone onto the iPad. So they're really showcasing the camera. But if that is the core difference between the previous iPad and the current iPad, I'm surprised that they wouldn't show that off earlier than the different sizes. If that is like the core value prop for like upgrading from the previous iPad, I find it interesting that they lead off with like the screen, and then they go into the different sizes, and then they get into the camera as like the third thing. I probably would have liked to see the camera much earlier in this thing, if that is like the core difference between the previous iPad and this one. Wow, that's a cool animation. LiDAR. Why do you need LiDAR? Let's read. Okay. I think something like LiDAR, like this text is just so small, and LiDAR is so abstract for the common consumer. When I think about iPad, like, so I've tried to buy an iPad and it never grew onto me. And I think this is probably the core play of it, is because I prefer using desktop computers. Anything that I would use an iPad for, I love my MacBook, and like an iPad is kind of a dumbed down computer, but I guess they're trying to convince you that you don't need a laptop. But like when it comes to talking about something like LiDAR, it's like, why do I care? When I think about the core audience of iPad, it's like I think of my mom, because my mom absolutely loves her iPad. So I'm thinking more of like an older generation type of person who is like really, really loves the iPad. So when you talk about something like LiDAR, I think that's something that'll just like fly above their heads. But like there's very cool visuals. I don't think my mom would ever understand how to use the augmented reality functionality on the iPad. But yeah, very cool. I love the colors in that. That's really cool. Kind of gets lost in the faster than you could say PC. Cool. Okay. I figure by the time if you have made it this far in the page, you probably do care about very granular details, but otherwise it's a cool page to scroll through. It's very animated and pretty. Let's just quickly look at, so this is one of the websites that I go to for inspiration and just look at different websites. So this is awards.com. There's 3 W's in awards. So this is one of the many websites that I go to just look at some random websites. So I'm just going to pick maybe 1 or 2 sites off of here, and I'm literally going to do it by like looking at like what's a really catchy visual to it. I think I need to sort this by websites now, because there's some like conference talks and stuff there. Anyway, let's just pick something at random. Let's pick something that's eye-catching. Well, this is eye-catching, but it talks about fonts, and this is eye-catching, but it also talks about fonts. It's not a website. Load more. This is an article. See, there's like articles. I want to like go to a website. Where are the winner? Oh, I think I go into winners. Yes, this is what I'm looking for. All right, these are websites, not just a mixture of. I should actually do a criticism of this site as well. When I first landed on it, like it's very all right, I'll do a criticism of awards. When you land on it, all the cards look exactly the same, but some of them point you to different archetypes of content. So you'll see that some of this is like, I don't know what, like I assume people would just like click on something first, and like this is like takes you to a font on Behance, whereas some of these will take you to websites. And I just exited out. So that's like one criticism of a site like this. They make all these cards and they look exactly the same, but when you click on them, they take you to different types of things. So some of them are fonts, some of them are conference talks, some of them are websites that were like winners. So when you make like the same card design, I understand they're working under a system, but if they like look the same, there's some sort of expectation that when the user clicks on it, that they're gonna like land on a very similar archetype of content. So that's just one piece of feedback for that site specifically. Now we're on the winners, and these are like probably the best of the best websites. Playful, that's eye-catching. Let's look at this website. So there's screenshots I want to. All right, so I know what I need to do here. When I hover, I click on this arrow, so that goes directly to the website. Not sure if people catch on to that. You need to enable sound on this website. What is this? So this is a animation house, I'm guessing. I'm not going to watch the show reel. All right, so when I scroll, it like... So I have feelings about sites that do what we call scroll jacking, which is they manipulate the assumed behavior of what scrolling does on a web page. So normally if you just land on a web page, when you scroll, it like vertically moves the web page up, but like they kind of use these different animations to jack that like naturally expected experience. I normally don't like that. There are only very few use cases where I actually like that, because I'm like, some users, especially if they don't know that, like, I guess there's a lot of studies that say that when people land on web pages, the first thing they do is scroll, so like that people will just naturally know that, but it's just weird to like have to wait. Like sometimes if I would do that, there's like a split second where I'm like, is it doing something or is it not doing something? So that's just one piece of feedback on just scroll jacking in general. But since they are like an animation house, I guess the first thing that you do is the first thing that you land on. All right, let's go back to the beginning. I know I'm like doing a lot of scrolling here. First thing you land on is the show reel, which is cool because that is like the best of the best, and a show reel is like basically a montage of your best work in the best way possible. So it's great that you just lead off with the reel and just get people to watch a show reel like that. I find it weird that I started off with them telling me to watch the brand name, watch our reel, and then the next screen after that is click to watch our latest reel. A little bit redundant. Interesting. But then they go straight into their clients. I like when sites just take me straight to your clients. I want to see all your work. It is kind of interesting that, like I kind of like it better when portfolio websites like have little blocks and I could just quickly scroll and see multiple things at once. So I could click to one immediately. They kind of take over your screen. So you're kind of forced to look at Hourglass, then forced to look at Nespresso, then forced to look at this. That you're kind of like forced to look at stuff without even knowing whether or not you're like super interested in like looking at it full view. So just one piece of feedback there. Cool. So I guess that's just the general like portfolio website. I like that the clients' names are just big. Usually when you think about portfolio websites, the first thing that people gravitate to are like, did you work for some big name clients? Do you have that repertoire? And if you did have the luxury of being able to work for some big name clients, of course you're going to want to put those names big. So, you see the Nespresso there, although, it is in this like fancy font and you don't kind of see the logo of it. So it took me a little bit to be like, oh yeah, you did some work for Nespresso. That's pretty cool. Cool. So let's click into that and see what their actual like art page looks like. More and more Nespresso. Cool. So very big, cool looking photos. Got a gallery here, some beautiful colors. They're really showcasing the work that they did. I assume that they did all this product photography. So that's one thing, and I think this is more feedback for individual artists, is that like usually a lot of these portfolio sites like to just jump into like big beautiful visuals, but then you have to ask yourself, if you are someone who's like looking for someone to do work, the first thing that I ask myself is like, all right, what did they actually do? Was it the set design? Did they design the pods themselves? So giving a little bit of context of like what they actually did here. Did they actually shoot these photos, or were these like the product shots that they show on the store and they just like kind of put this square background behind it? Like, I don't know. A little bit of context there would be cool. Maybe they do it later on. Yeah, so this is just like marketing text. I prefer, all right, so going back to thinking about like what are the KPIs? What are you trying to achieve with your website? If you are a studio or a house, you're trying to get more work, right? You're trying to get more clients, and you're trying to do that by showing off some cool work and like convincing people that I want to work with this brand. But when you just like put a whole bunch of marketing copy and mumbo, like to me, I didn't even actually read it because I just started reading it and I was like, this is just marketing mumbo jumbo. Better text here is to just literally say like what I was like questioning. I was like, what did you actually do here? Was it set design? Did you design the pods? Did you choose the color palettes for the pods? Or did you literally just put backgrounds on like product photography that already existed? So it'd be cool to just make that very clear. Like, what did you do to get me to say like, oh, I want to work with these people. Like, this will make my life much easier. Yeah, that's one piece of feedback. Always describe what you actually did. It'll help potential clients make it easier for them and make it quicker for them to go from, all right, cool artwork, what did you do? All right, I want to work with you. Where's your contact? So contact is persistent in the top right, but it's very small. I guess that is like the big call to action that a site like this would want to do when you immediately land on it. Okay. That's my feedback for that. Let's try and find something else that is not like a studio website. I feel like a lot of these are like studio portfolio type of websites. Let's look at this, Idea Buddy. So I'm guessing this is like some software, some tech company software. Okay, yeah, it is. Idea Buddy. Let's look at this and like do some criticism here. So you first land on the page, you first see text, not imagery. Open beta is what my eyes are first drawn to, even though this is larger, just because this is in yellow and it like comes first in the flow of my eyes. Open beta. So, okay, my first impression is, all right, this is not a finished product. Bring your business idea to life. I feel like that could be a line for any product. Create a business model, develop your idea, validate a concept, get a business plan. So is this making business plans? So when you think about your opening text, like, is it amorphous? Like, could this line be for anyone? I would, if this is a product for creating business plans, I want that to be the big line, because I want to get straight to the point of this is business plan software. But let's verify that this is actually what that is. You have a groundbreaking idea, but you feel lost alone. Execution will live up to idea. Idea Buddy will light your way from concept to completion. So, okay, so idea, of course, it's called Idea Buddy, so it's helping you develop an idea. Create a one-page, develop the idea through story mode, test run, and validate. So it literally is like, you have an idea, so how do you create a business plan around it? And you make a one-page plan. Okay. So this is the other thing with like product things, like they have these like really awesome eye-catching illustrations, but is this the actual product? I'm assuming. So I want to go back to the top and actually look at this product. I don't know what this actually idea plan. This is just like another. So I might be a little bit biased against this because I'm a designer and I'm a product designer, and whenever I have an idea, I like go directly into Photoshop and just start making stuff. I don't need another layer to put between me and like Photoshop to just start making the idea. So I'm kind of like immediately already turned off by this, but let me try and stay objective to that. But let me just, yeah, like, so I like that first piece of feedback. Like, this doesn't tell me anything. I want to get to like the idea, turn your idea into a business plan. Tell me that in big text immediately, instead of this line that could actually mean any product. First piece of feedback. It's cool that, you know, they get you directly, they have a button immediately there to start your free trial, but like, why would I ever want to click that button when all you've shown me is like this? I like when it comes to like always having a call to action, like immediately in your view. Something that you should do is like, imagine, like, of course this button is good here, but it just, you lose it right when you scroll. I'd like to see, okay, maybe it is there. No, it isn't. I'd like to see this bar stick, this top bar stick to your screen and always be there. So, you know, all right, I don't want to do it now because you haven't told me anything yet, but you know, as I'm looking through this, maybe I'm sold on it. The button just being there at all times, so that, okay, I'm convinced. All right, where do I click to try this, like buy this thing now? Like, I would love to see some sort of all right, something just dropped down here. I don't know how that came down, but there still isn't that button there that says, all right, I'm convinced, start my free trial. Where is it? I need to scroll all the way back to the top to get it, or scroll all the way to the bottom to get that button. So I would love to see that persistent at some point, because what you're really trying to do is get people to start and try using your product. Why are you going to hide that button when you've like, what if I was convinced to buy the product here? Yeah, I'm sold. Where do I click? That button's not there. So yeah, I would love to see a persistent button for that try it now there. Cool. Still not convinced on this product. I still don't understand what this product is. I'm trying to think of, so this is the part of empathy comes in. Of course I'm a designer, like I don't need this because I could just jump straight into Photoshop, but who would need this? Is this like a entrepreneur who's trying to pitch an idea? They're trying to hire designers to get on board with an idea that they have, or engineers. So maybe this is their first point of where they'd go before jumping into like Photoshop, or just like literally talking to a designer and trying to help work with them to prototype the idea. Still trying to figure out who the core audience is for this. It's definitely not me, because like I said, I just jump right into Photoshop if I have an idea. I don't need to do this. Maybe it's more of a business-minded person, or maybe it's a Shark Tank type of entrepreneur who like needs to answer questions and they need to organize their thoughts in a way that would allow them to answer questions like, who are my competitors? How do I know that this is going to be a sustainable business in like 30, no, not like in a year or 2 years or 3 years. Maybe that's for that person. Not quite sure, but yeah, maybe I'm just not the core audience for this, but I'm not quite sure exactly what this product is doing for me. Cool. So I kind of spend a lot of time on websites. I might go over a little 10 o'clock because I do want to get through some of these apps. I do have 4 different apps that I do want to try out. So I have my phone here. And like I said, TikTok is one of them. So these are the 3 apps that I want to try out. I've already created accounts for them just so I don't have to waste time going through that process and have you potentially seeing the passwords that I create for my accounts. But these are the 3 websites. So let me just jump right into TikTok real quick. I'm like very curious about this app. From what I see, my experience before even, so you also have to think about this is people's experiences before even downloading your app with your app. So I've seen screenshots of TikTok shared on other social media platforms like Twitter, Facebook. So I have an idea of what TikTok might be already before even installing the app. And my initial assumption is that they're all like these dancing videos. So of course, like the first one is people dancing. Like my perception, because all the videos I've seen shared are just videos of people video recording themselves doing dances. Of course, these people are dancing. So this is in the hospital. It's cool that people are maintaining good spirits here. Maybe I should listen to this with sound. How do I unmute this? I guess, I don't know. My volume button is not working. Oh, let me... No. I still don't hear sound. Am I having an old person moment here? Is there supposed to be sound on these? Okay, anyway, let's ignore the sound. But literally the first couple videos are people exactly doing what I thought. And something I should mention, I actually made a mental note of this when I was creating an account, but this is interesting. But like when I was creating an account, like the first screen that they showed me to create an account was like to create an account by phone number. And I actually had to like tab over to create an account by email. I just want to let people know that that's a dark pattern, that like once they get your phone number, they try to get access to people's contact books and just try to get them to invite their friends to like join apps. So that's why they prioritize getting you to create an account with your phone number so they could get your contact books on their app as well as an acquisition tool. But literally, like, all right, so this might be the first video I came across that is not a person dancing. I'm actually curious about the experience. So I guess, all right, so I like thinking about the first things that an app decides to show you. So the first thing that this app shows me is other people's videos. And I'm going to assume that these are like the most highly engaged videos. Like there's a lot of likes on all these videos. So I guess this is like the top content on their platform overall. So I guess a good way to draw you in is like already showing you proven things that people like. So that's just an obvious tactic, swiping up. So in the onboarding, they told you immediately that like the first thing you should do when you get into this app is swipe up to swipe through stories. So that's how I knew how to do that. So this is on For You. I'm not following anyone, but since I'm not following anybody, it's cool that, you know, they're not going to just show you a blank screen because you're not following anyone, but they show you the trending creators to, you know, hopefully get you to follow some people. The other onboarding thing, like even before you created an account, this is a mental note I took when I created an account. The first thing they showed you was like pick some categories that you're interested in. So I assumed that they would show you those categories. So, you know, they're already getting you into content that you've identified that you're interested in. So I'm not following anyone. So they show you trending creators. Cool. Let's see some of these tabs. Let's go into Discover. What was okay, so I was like thinking, all right, that first screen kind of was Discover, but what's different about this Discover? Well, I guess because I'm not showing you anybody, they would probably, because I'm not following anybody, I guess they would prioritize people you're following. So your home screen should be people that you're already following, blah, blah, blah. So if you're interested in like discovering other stuff that aren't the people that you follow, that you want to find something new, that's what this Discover tab is for. And they arrange it by hashtag. That's a good way of doing it. I wonder what the logic is. Why? I guess because it is Earth Hour, so relevant trending. Okay, it literally says trending underneath these, so these are trending hashtags. I guess that's a way to find new content. Can I swipe across? Okay, so this is an interesting thing. Like, so on mobile devices, on apps, swiping horizontally is not a natural action. So I'm always like not sure whether or not I could swipe left or right. So sometimes they'll do this thing where you see the little sliver of a 4 thing. You're like, oh, that's another one. I guess I should swipe right. Oh, okay, there's a bunch more, so I could swipe right to see more of those. Cool. Let's see. So obviously the middle icon, so you'll see this on a lot of apps, especially if they're photo taking apps, video taking apps. The thing to share is always like in the center, and it's like a big filled in button. A lot of these apps, like, it's a KPI to get you to share, upload more content, give them more content. So they like to drive you towards this like center plus icon in the bottom here to share something. Oh, I need to allow access to camera. Okay, let's do that. Let's give them all my privacy. Allow access to microphone. So that is me. Could I flip this? Okay, so let's just take a look at some of this. Let's put this on my face. Hello, there I am. Let's see some of the icons here. You have flip, speed. Oh, so I could speed things up. What does that mean? So if I were to record something, it would play it back at 3 times the speed. That's what I assume it's gonna do. So does that go super fast? Where's that? What did I just do? Am I having another old person moment? So Jess is in the background here and answering me. Jess, have you used TikTok before?
No, I'm too old for that.
Okay, so don't criticize unless you could offer another.
Is this whole thing just gonna be
an old person using? All right, let's not do this. I'm gonna embarrass myself on live here. So speed, beauty. I want to look beautiful. Beauty mode on. What does this mean? Add effects. Effects are great. All right, let's not get. I'm gonna spend hours on effects if I get into that, but I don't know what the beauty filter does. Filters. Oh, I want to. Why did they put a picture of a white girl down here for the effects? So I'm going to get into like this diversity thing. I'm going to jump into the diversity thing here. So you have a picture of what your effects look like on this white blonde girl. Is that an accurate way to show me how an effect would look like when you put it on top of my face? I'm not a blonde white girl, so I don't think this is a good design choice here. I think it's a kind of ignorant design choice because not all your users are going to be white blonde girls. So when you're like, this is not a good indicator of what this effect is going to look like on my face because I'm not this person. So that's going to be one piece of critical feedback here. Yeah. What is that? Is that this? So this is also bad too because you're using a really white image to show landscape filters. But when you put a filter on top of a white image, you don't see what the filter actually does to that image. That's a really poor. All right, I'm gonna go off on this because this is like really bad image choices to show people what a filter will do to your image. That's really bad. White kid here too. I don't think. Yeah, this is really bad. Does it show you? But is this because the background in my? I wonder if I were like in a darker setting, if they show me different images. Is this because my background is white? Maybe I'm giving them too much credit by making that assumption that they're a lot smarter than this, that they're showing me images with white backgrounds on it because the background that I'm on is like white around here. Interesting. All right, how do I get out of here? All right, there we go. Timer. Start countdown. I'm not even going to figure out. I'm not going to embarrass myself by guessing what that does. Let's get out of here. Let's exit. All right, inbox. All right, I'm guessing this is sliding into DMs. I guess that's what inbox is. Me. This is my feed. 0 followers. Coalesce7, that's my username. 0 likes. All right, this looks like just standard like Instagram. So a lot of apps, because Instagram kind of pioneered what a image and video based profile looks like. A lot of people just kind of piggyback off of the path that they pay forward there. So that's kind of like a easy thing there. So all right, that's TikTok. I'm gonna take a few days to play with this and like actually learn how to do a TikTok myself and embarrass myself with some really poor dancing moves. But will I? So the question is, will I come back to this app? I will, because I'm still confused, and I want to know what the appeal is. So my repeat usage is more based on the popular, because this app is popular and that a lot of people use it. So it's more tied to that than like actually finding a use in it. So that's why I will probably continue using this app. So let's jump out of here before I like embarrass myself anymore trying to use this app. Another common app, so Etsy. So I use Etsy on the web, but I have never used their app before. So I just created an account I have an account on Etsy, so I logged into my already existing Etsy account. So I want to just take a look at what their app is like. So think about their like, what is the job they're trying to do? They're trying to get you to buy stuff. So buy stuff from independent creators. So are they achieving that is kind of what I'm going to go into thinking about this. So I'm thinking about their audience as anybody who wants to buy kind of handcrafted stuff. So that's going to be the thought process that I'm going into when I look at this app. So when I first jump into it, they first show me a thing about what's your style. So yeah, so this is also kind of just getting you to indicate what are your interests. So what is my style? Tap on some heart icons. So okay, it's basically telling me if I like something, tap on it to heart it, so they'll give me more of that thing. I think they got lucky here because I do like cats, so there's like a little pot here with some cats, and I think Jess, who's sitting behind me, has got me into plants, so I think cute cat planter is a cool thing to open up with. I'm interested in buying that, so pretty cool. Oh, I guess this is based off of recommendations, because I logged in with my already known Etsy account, and I looked at a lot of like Leica accessories on Etsy, and I think I purchased a camera strap, so they're showing me some camera straps here. So immediately they show me products to buy that are based off of things that I've indicated that I've bought already. So these cards, they have this like, so skeuomorphic shadows. Skeuomorphic just refers to like making things on your screen look like physical things that you could hold. So these things very clearly I could click on them and buy them. They go from items to recommending me shops. Interesting. Editor's picks. So I kind of like editor's picks if I'm going into a site and I'm not quite sure what I want. But yeah, it's interesting. Modern pets, gifts for new parents, more editor's picks. So they're just like showing me stuff until I find something that I like. So I guess, like I said, that's the point of a homepage. It's a point to like very quickly help you find something. So they just show you a lot of stuff in a dense area, just to say like, just, hey, here's a smattering of stuff. Click on something. I'm sure you'll find something here that you'll like. So I guess it does a good job of just showing you a bunch of stuff and just using recommendations of stuff that I've maybe purchased or looked at in the past to kind of fill in this page with the specific products. So let's just look at one of these straps. Let's take a look at a product page. So the product page is to literally show you other views of it, get you interested, and like get you to click on it. So almost gone. So there are these things on websites where they try and get you to more quickly purchase stuff by saying like, there's only 2 left of this, it's almost gone, and they had the little animation with the hourglass to really draw your eyes into that, to like get that need in you to say like, oh, I better act now, I better buy this. So they're really driving you to do that with that little animation. So that's pretty much all the product stuff. So I guess you have all the detailed shots of this. And then they have the overview. This is written by the person who's selling this, so I can't really judge that because that's like that's less on Etsy, that's more on the individual seller themselves. I like that if you're not sold on buying this, they show you more from the shop first. That's good. If they prioritize the shop owners would like that they keep the users within their store versus like. So this is going to be a very interesting piece of insight. So a big allure to Etsy is to get more independent creators to sell on their platform. So doing anything you can to make them happy and give them a good selling experience would keep them on the platform. So this is just a good decision that, like, you know, some other people might say, oh, why don't you just show them more camera straps instead of showing them stuff from the shop? Well, the reason is you want to make the seller happy by, like, if they don't like this product, show them other products from their shop before you start showing them items from other people's shops, just to keep the people who sell on the platform happy. So that's good. And then they just show you this. I kind of would like more vertical scroll. I don't like that they go from like a grid here to all of a sudden, all right, now you're still showing me more products, but now I have to scroll sideways versus scrolling vertically. I don't like that. I like just give me one motion and stay with that one motion throughout the entire experience. I don't like if I'm going to continue to browse, I scroll vertically and then now I need to scroll horizontally. Just keep the momentum going with one interaction. So that's one piece of feedback on this product page. Cool. So I think let me do it. I'm at 10 o'clock now. Let's do, should I do one of these other apps? What other apps do I have here to give some? So there's one app called 1 Second Every Day. This is one app that I've spoken about it before, but I've never actually used it. And I really like this app because I've seen people who've used it and the videos that it creates. So just to give you context, this is my pretext to this app before actually in downloading it, installing it, and using it myself. But from what I understand, this app it's called 1 Second Every Day, and it basically gets the users to record 1 second of video every single day. And then like at the end of the month, I'm guessing, it creates a montage of it's going to create a montage of the 1 second clips that you've taken every single day to make a really cool video. It reminds me of, I don't know if you've ever watched the movie Vanilla Sky, the very ends, well, I don't want to give away, I'm going to give away the end scene, but there's a montage where there's like a second of every second, or like seconds of Tom Cruise's life in the movie. Like there's a montage of that, and it like gives off this like really cool nostalgic effect that like at the end of the month, if I were to watch that video, I'd be like, oh, that's really cool. Like that's something cool to look back upon. So I've seen people post videos from this app, and I thought that it was really cool that maybe this would be a good app to just like try and use for the first time. Probably because you need to record. I'm going to come in with more assumptions that like maybe I could only record 1 second like when the day comes. So I might only be able to like see one day of this experience. But like let's just jump into using this app. So the first thing that they show you is today on a calendar. I guess this is good because it's like literally already conditioning you to say like, all right, there's these boxes you need to fill with a video. So it's kind of stimulating this aspect of like, all right, I need to record a video every single day. So they show you the calendar and they show you like fill this thing. So they drive you to this today's square with a big orange color in it, say like add to this day. I like that. If this is the core purpose of this app is to get you to record it 1 second every day, they're like first screen you land on, here's a calendar, here's today with the big orange box, add this thing today. So let's just click on that because that's kind of what they're driving you to click at first. So add a snippet. Oh, and you can add a journal entry. That's pretty cool. All right, so maybe I don't know, and there's this inspire me button at the bottom. Let's click that. What did that do? That just opened the big thing? Wait, I'm clicking on inspire me, but it looks like it takes me to a full view of journal entry. That's weird. Let me try clicking inspire me again here. Okay, so that's one piece of criticism. So, okay, let's go back. That didn't happen, so now it shows up in that view, but I was trying to click the inspire me button from this view, but it doesn't inspire me yet, and I need to click it again. That's like why. So if you're gonna do that, don't show me that button down here. Like, and if you do show me the button, when I click it, I want this to show up immediately in there. Like, you see that? So I want that question to show up in that view. Like, I don't expect this full view of the journal entry, and I don't want to click that button twice. But anyway, one piece of feedback for that piece of UI. All right, what's one thing you hope to accomplish before the end of the year? So this is like a prompt. This is a journal prompt. Cool. I think this is pretty cool for if you're into journaling, like Jess, my girlfriend. This is just random prompts. So maybe this is, now I'm wondering if, because now I'm thinking about this prompt, and is it relevant to today? Like, are they trying to get me to share 1 second of an accomplishment, or some sort of progress towards an end goal? I don't know. I don't know if they're just prompting me for a journal or prompting me for a snippet. I would like, if their core goal here is to get you to share 1 second every single day, I would hope that the prompt would like be something like record a video of this thing. So say like, I would hope that a prompt would be something that gets me to share a 1 second video to say like, what are you happy about today? And like, she's like, oh, there's a dog walking by me. Let me like record that dog. So I would hope that the prompts like get you to do the core action, the job that the app is trying to accomplish, instead of like a journal entry, because that's kind of like, oh, okay, now I'm going to write something down, but is that really what you're trying to get me to do in this app? To write written text or to share 1 second if the name of your app is 1 second every day? So that's some feedback for that. Now let's actually try and add a video. The first thing that they show you is library, but there is a camera down here. Maybe I didn't have access to it. Okay, give them access to my life. Listen to me when I'm sleeping. No, I don't want you to know my location. You're overreaching your bounds. All right, so we got the camera in here. Let's go to the flip screen. I assume that's that icon. Okay, so yeah, I like this because there's no noise here. You got the big teal record button. They want you to record, and they tell you exactly how to do it. Press and hold to record. Hello, this is me. And it immediately put it, so this is like, I like this much better than TikTok. This is old people friendly. Like, it did what you thought it would do. You recorded a video and it immediately like put it in there. I guess if I was like kind of the perfectionist type, I was like, wait, I questioned to myself, wait, I don't know if I actually wanted to save that. And like, it already immediately gave you this sense of completion, like, all right, this task is done already, we put it in, it's ready to go. And like, I'm like, wait, maybe what if I wanted to edit that, and I wasn't sure if that was the actual video that I wanted to be my 1 second today. But I guess you could add multiple seconds, but I guess you need to pay to add a second. So all right, interesting revenue model there. Pay to get more than 1 second every day. But let's go back. Maybe I didn't really like that video and I wanted to edit it. This is where, okay, they have a date here. Can you edit that date? No. So I guess you're kind of stuck with that font style, that date. But I guess the way to, if I didn't like that clip, the only way to edit it is to click that triple dot teal icon, and then delete it or replace it. Okay, but I guess the cool thing is if you don't like that style, you could just pick something from your library and just upload that video. Cool. I want to see how that works, actually. I recorded a video, just did a workshop here earlier, and I recorded a quick snippet of her. So let's try and add that in here. That's from my desk. Snippet length. Is this 1 second? This is more than 1 second. Oh. I don't understand what... Oh, okay. So this is a second? This clip is clearly longer than a second. But I guess okay, so I guess I understand what's going on here. So this teal box is a second, and I have to choose the second of this clip. So when it's in that little teal window, that's the second that I'm capturing. I get it. And if you want to make longer than, of course, yeah, I mentioned this before, to get more than 1 second every day, you need to pay them. So let's just choose, I like this, her title, her like little slide here. And actually I like her setup in the studio, the behind the scenes clip. So let's do that one. What are some things I could do here? I could rotate it. Okay, makes sense. That's fit to frame. Okay, I could turn it into a landscape and do that. Okay, I guess because, all right, here's going to be an interesting thing. I'm going to make an assumption here that anything that's highlighted purple is something I need to pay for. Very clearly marked. Okay, so that's exactly what it is. So they highlight anything in purple for any features that you need to pay for. I think that's cool. That's generous to the user of giving them some sort of indication and not having them always hit this box. And so now I know that I'm gonna avoid, unless I want to pay for stuff, that I'm not gonna touch any of the purple things. Cool. Let's trim. Oh wow. Okay, so this is a pop-up that just showed up. Want daily creative reminders so you never miss a day. Okay, so this is cool. So they get you, if I hit this, I guess this is going to turn on notifications on my phone. So they try to, hook you into the app with notifications. So let's see. Let's hit yes. Yep, notifications. Knew it. Don't allow. I don't want to do that. But that's cool because I guess their goal here, their KPI here is to get you to open the app every single day and share 1 second. So they're doing a lot of stuff to really drive those KPIs. It's really good. I like that. Although, there are a couple things here, but I like they're really optimizing for what they're really trying to get you to do, is just open this app every single day and share 1 second. So I don't know how, I want to actually look. I want to do investigation afterwards how big of a team is behind this, but I think this is very effective. I really like the user experience here because they're really driving you to do exactly the thing that you want, and the name of the app is exactly what you should be doing here, and all the visuals drive you to do that action. So this app gets a really good review from me because it's very focused and it gets you to do this. I'm definitely probably going to try doing this. I'm going to try using this every single day. Maybe I should have turned notifications on. But I'm going to try this for a few days. Maybe I'll give an update later of how it goes. But I like the design of that app. I like the experience there. I think that's pretty much good. The last one that I wanted to try out was Headspace, just because I think it's a relevant app for today's time. But I also kind of feel like that's more of a something that I'm going to be doing a lot of like physical stuff, like outside of the app. Like a lot of this is probably happening outside of the app. So I think I'll just skip on that for now, and I think I'm going to wrap this up for those 3 things, being the 3 things that I'm going to be reviewing today. But yeah, I think that was pretty cool. I hope that just by watching me do some of that live reactions is helpful to anyone. Like, I think if you're just beginning out in like user experience design and you're not sure, like to you, it's just like, oh, does this app look beautiful? Does it look nice? Does it look pretty? That's much different than what I just did looking through these apps, like thinking about what the action that the app is trying to complete, thinking like who the audience is. Like these are things that I think about when I like classify what is a good app, or like what is a well-designed app. And I think if you're a beginning designer, it's easy to be like, oh, I don't like these colors, or this app doesn't look cool. That's not like really valuable stuff to like judge an app based off of, but thinking about things in this sort of criteria, and also being empathetic for like what the company's trying to do, helps you give more valuable and more constructive critiques on those things. So I hope that just watching me go through some of those helps you in better like looking at apps, or even when you're designing your own apps, thinking more about how you should design it. If you found this live critique, these live app, like watching me go through all this, if you found this helpful, or if you found something in there that you didn't know before, please consider liking and subscribing to this video. It helps the YouTube algorithm. It helps other people find this video. So just hit the like button, subscribe to me if you want to see upcoming videos. I didn't see any questions come through, but at this time, I would like to remind you that tomorrow I have another stream coming up, and it is how to get a job as a designer. So I recently went through this process. I'm still kind of at the end stages of this for hiring someone at the block, but I'm going to take you through, and I've also hired designers at other companies. I'm going to take you through what my process is, of what I think about when it comes to more efficiently finding the right person for the role, and maybe it'll give you some insight, like if you're applying for a job, of like what the stages are in the process, and maybe it will help you kind of optimize yourself and maybe help you find a job yourself in design. For me, it's not like it's the process of hiring is difficult just because there's so many portfolios you have to look through and there's so many people you have to talk to, and any way you could expedite that process, like how do you quickly find the characteristics that you're looking for, and how do you do that very quickly just by like going from looking at a link to that final interview. How do you bring someone on? So I'm going to go through that process. If you're looking for a job, I think this will be really beneficial for you just to see how I've hired designers in past companies. But yeah, that's going to be tomorrow's session. And like I said, like and subscribe to this video, but I am going to sign off for now, and I will see you tomorrow at 8 p.m. Peace.